Good morning. Welcome to the ICSS Sunday Morning Marxist Forum. My name is Raj Sahai. The Institute for Critical Study of Society, also known by its acronym ICSS, was formed in 2004 to preserve Marx's heritage and to support struggles for social justice and socialism, and which over time will reach the stage of complete human liberation, such is our belief. The opinions expressed in our forum are only of its authors, but we in ICSS all are united in our respect for the work of Karl Marx, who in his 11th thesis on Feuerbach said, "The philosophers have interpreted the world in different ways. The point, however, is to change it." Today's title of the talk is "The Palestinian West Bank in the Shadow of Gaza" by Dr. Sharat G. So briefly, the conflict and humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza that you're familiar has overshadowed developments in the West Bank. Yet the situations in the two occupied territories are inextricably linked to the convulsions of Israeli politics, the shifts in global geopolitics, and additionally manifested in the West Bank in the actions of the Israeli settler movement, fully supported by the Israeli state. So how is this impacting Palestinians on the ground and their resistance to it? Dr. Sharlin, our guest speaker, will dilate this for us. Dr. Sharat Lin is a political economist with the San Jose Peace and Justice Center, Human Agenda, and the Initiative for Equality. He writes and gives seminars on the Middle East and labor migration. He has been involved in the region for decades, ever since he attended medical school at the American University of Beirut, Lebanon. He lived through the beginning of the Lebanese Civil War, the Gulf oil boom, and the start of the Arab Spring. He will speak for approximately 40 minutes, followed by a short break for announcements and a 45-minute discussion session. So please hold your questions and comments until then. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Sharat Lin. All yours, Sharat.
Well, thank you very much, Raj, for that generous introduction, and thank you, ICSS, for having me again. It's always a pleasure and an honor to speak to you folks. So I don't need to review, what is going on in Gaza. You're all familiar with it, but I will make a few remarks, and that has to do with the U.S. policy, because ultimately, behind what is happening, what is enabling Israel is fully the responsibility of the United States. So this is the world's sole superpower is the primary, the overwhelming enabler of the genocide in Gaza. Now, I will say that when you take a look at the national security strategy that was published last November, it actually suggests that U.S. policy is going to shift towards a partial disengagement from the Middle East, and shifting that focus more towards the Western Hemisphere. And there's a sort of trade-off here between reassertion of the Monroe Doctrine, or the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, versus the energy that the U.S. can devote to the Middle East. But it's mainly a result of the fact that Middle Eastern oil is not quite the the sort of global, lifeline, at least as far as the United States is concerned, that it once was, because the U.S. Is today a net exporter of energy, both crude oil as well as natural gas, and so the energy picture in the world has shifted. And the other aspect, of course, is the desire that not to be involved in directly involved in long-term wars, such as in Iraq and the Gulf and so many other conflicts, but rather, the Trump's emphasis seems to be on pinpoint attacks that hit very hard but are very brief and don't involve troops on the ground. Another thing that's of interest is to always examine U.S. Posturing about human rights, and it used to be that the State Department would produce these human rights reports country by country, and at least they would be at least somewhat factual. And then the president could choose to use the human rights report as a pretext for certain policy actions, certain military actions, or could choose to ignore them. But that pretense has gone away, because this is the human rights report. The latest one, for example, on Israel, that is put out by the Department of State, and it flatly says that it has one section. First of all, these reports are now a very thin shadow of what they used to be in terms of depth. So there's a section here, which is 1C, which is called War Crimes, Crimes Against Humanity, and Evidence of Acts that may constitute genocide or conflict-related abuses. That's the one sort of section, and what it says, it has only one sentence in that section. It reads, terrorist organizations Hamas and Hezbollah continue to engage in the indiscriminate targeting of Israeli citizens in violation of the law of armed conflict, full stop. It doesn't even mention any of the actions of Israel. So that's, how far U.S. policy is going in the direction of totally flying in the face of factual reality. It is willing to totally ignore the much bigger picture of the Israeli genocide in Gaza. Finally, I want to mention something about the Board of Peace, because I think that's one of the things that's on everybody's mind today. And so as you know, the Board of Peace has been constituted. I have the document that created it here, and it's totally under the authority of Donald Trump as the chairman of the Board of Peace. It has a rather complex and convoluted executive structure that has multiple layers. I don't know why it needs to be so complicated, because a lot of the same names appear in the different layers. For example, Jared Kushner, Stephen Witkoff, Susan Wiles are on the executive board, and they also are serving on the advisory board, which is the advisory board is known as the Gaza Executive Board. So a lot of redundancies and complexities that I won't get into. However, I will just say that a lot remains to be seen how this will be implemented, but the vision for that was presented separately at Davos of what a future Gaza may look like. First of all, it totally lacks any kind of representation of the people of Gaza. It's as if they are pure subjects, and they have no role. It's entirely a U.S. dominated determination of what the future is for the people of Gaza. Furthermore, the planning, and I'll show you a map in a moment of what their plan looks like, is really remarkably, it reminds me of Cancun or Atlantic City, in the sense that you've got this row of luxury, tourist hotels on the beaches, and then behind, tucked away, hidden from view, are the housing for the Palestinians who will work in those hotels. Or at least we hope that they will at least be the workers and not be expelled. But the plan does say that no one will be forced to leave. So that's the good thing, is that despite what Israel wants, the Board of Peace document says that no one will be forced to leave Gaza, and it also says that everyone who wants to, every Palestinian who wants to, who was originally in Gaza, has the right to return to Gaza. So that's what we know, and the rest is going to be unfolding. So with that, I'm going to turn to the West Bank, which, as is indicated in the title, has been in the shadow of the events in Gaza for the last 2.5 years. So let me start by, let's see, sharing my slides. Okay. Why am I not able to advance the slides? I was able to advance them before. There we go. So anyway, so this was the vision of Gaza that was unveiled, a very utopian vision, and unveiled at Davos. This is the map. You see the purple area is the row of beach hotels, and then the yellow areas behind it are the proposed residential areas. And there's sort of a dream, and of course, where the land is going to be found remains to be seen. That there is an expectation that there will be room for all these parks. Okay, so this is just a reminder of how small Gaza is compared to the cities of San Jose and Santa Clara County. And this, at the same time, as we go to the West Bank, we remember that the West Bank today is carved up under the Oslo process into areas A, B, and C, and of those, the area C, you see that the dark blue areas are the Israeli settlements, but around those is each one of those Israeli settlements is much more land that is claimed and is effectively controlled today by the settlers, in addition to a number of areas that are considered closed military zones by the Israeli occupation forces, including this area right here in the middle, which is the area, includes the area E1, and this is well on the way to going all the way out to Jericho, which would divide the West Bank into two separate areas. Now, if you're traveling around the West Bank, it because of all the diversions, because of all the checkpoints, because of all the road closures, because of the flying checkpoints that they can pop up at any time, anywhere, by the Israeli military, it can take, if you're like in Hebron and you want to travel to, let's say, Tubas, this can take 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, and there's no guarantee. If you're tied up at a checkpoint, it can take, you might be detained at the checkpoint for an hour. Who knows? It's very common. And so I want to put in perspective what is the size of the West Bank. So we know that Gaza is tiny, right? So this is the West Bank. It's kind of a kidney shape, and to give us an idea of how small this is, I superimpose it on the San Francisco Bay. And so you can imagine that if it takes 5 hours to go from the south to the north, and this is the bay, and this is a distance that would take us, at most 1.5 hours in the Bay Area, right? I mean, assuming the traffic is not too bad. So it's really a small area, um, and so the things that happen in one area can very easily spill over into another area. People who are, sorry about that, the people down here in this part of the West Bank can actually hear the Israeli bombing in Gaza. I went there in the month of October, which was during the olive harvest. And so the olive harvest is it was one of the things that I went there not just to observe, but to experience, to actually participate in the olive harvest. Part of it is the international solidarity, the accompaniment with Palestinian farmers, and the reason for that accompaniment is because one of the declared objectives of the settler movement, led by the Hilltop Youth, which is the most militant front of the settler movement, comprising of mostly young males, is that their charter or their goal is to terrorize, literally terrorize, Palestinian farmers from doing their olive harvest in the month of October and the first half of November. And by preventing Palestinians from harvesting their olives, they are denying Palestinians their main farmers, their main source of income, because this is their cash crop. You have these olive orchards, and about maybe 2/3 of the olives are crushed into olive oil, and then the rest are eaten either for the family or sold as olives. But this is part of the harvesting process, separating the leaves from the olives. And then one of the beautiful traditions, really stunning, is because the work in the orchard usually is a whole day. It starts early in the morning and ends sometime in the late afternoon, and it's traditionally done by families. In other words, a family owns some land with some olive trees. They go harvest it. They have their lunch, and it's really a wonderful socializing and sharing of an amazing cuisine. And then when we as international solidarity activists go there and support, and it's also some Palestinian officials sometimes go in and to support the olive harvest and try to support the Palestinian farmers doing this safely without fear of attack from the settlers. And then this is the olive pressing. So there's every small town has an olive press, and this is actually somewhat of a social experience, because it's a place where people gather and meet each other and just socialize while their olives are being crushed and pressed. Now the settlers, the settlement outposts, as many of you know, are illegal even under Israeli law. And however, the Knesset is one by one passing laws that will make even the settlement outposts legal. Of course, the settlements themselves, this is differentiated from the settlements which are recognized by the Israeli government and legal, but but the settlement outposts are slowly being legalized part by part, law by law, and they form a base to attack the Palestinian lands below. So what you see below the outpost are these terraced olive orchards. You see the trees here; they're terraced. These terraces are stones because the land is very rich in limestone, and so Palestinians over centuries have used the limestone to build the walls of the terraces, and so the settlement outpost becomes a base to come down and attack Palestinian farmers in the terraces below. And these are the we witnessed some of the Palestinian, rather the Israeli settlers patrolling the Palestinian olive orchards. What they're doing is looking for harvesting activity, and if they see harvesting activity, they'll call in other settlers to go and attack it. And then you see this is a, let's see, I don't know. Okay, so this is an Israeli attack that we witnessed on Palestinians harvesting. So the result is that that Palestinians have now to organize into civil defense corps to be prepared to respond to these settler attacks. So there's more organizing. There's more medical teams. There are fire brigades. In the lower right, you see all this chain link fencing was just put up in the last few months in this village of Farha where I spent a week, and then they also put in this street lighting. I mean, these roads here are just dirt or gravel roads. They're rural roads, but they put in the street lighting so that they can see the settlers coming in at night, because there have been a lot of incursions, increasing number of Israeli settlers coming in and vandalizing Palestinian property at night, even inside the villages. So this is the Palestinian response. More broadly, I mean, we see you all know that the apartheid wall goes well inside the West Bank in many places, and so it occupies, it claims a lot of Palestinian land, beyond the green line. That was the ceasefire line of 1948-49. And you see the same technology. This is the same kind of technology, a lot of it by Elbit Systems, that we see on the U.S. southern border with Mexico. If you go to the U.S. border, you'll see the same, dual camera technology that was originally developed by Elbit Systems. Check the checkpoints. I don't need to go into that, but during the 1 month that I was there, I personally witnessed 4 arrests of Palestinians, and that just shows you the frequency, the routineness of these arrests. The you know that the Israeli military, which is the Israeli police, don't operate on the West Bank. It's under military control, and so the military is the you know the police, the so-called you know the organization that polices the areas B and C in the West Bank. And this is also in Jerusalem, in the Old City. I witnessed two arrests by Israeli police because Jerusalem is within Israel proper, and therefore it is the police that operate here. And just you know what Palestinians have to go through in small checkpoints, always at gunpoint. They are subject to all kinds of humiliation, and you know the number of checkpoints, road gates, roadblocks in the West Bank has really increased since the last time that I was there, which is about 18 years ago. The number of these blockages and checkpoints has doubled. It has doubled from about 500 to about 900, more than 900 in that period of time. And you know, some of these walls divide Palestinians from Palestinians, such as this one between Ras Al Amud and Al Ghazariya. The walls, of course, are an opportunity for artists. This is, you know, resistance art. It's one way for Palestinians to cope with this traumatization. These are some of the roadblocks that just make it difficult for Palestinians, and some of these have been replaced now by road gates like this. So it makes it easier for the Israeli military to open and close, you know, some of these roads. So this, for example, is this road gate is at the entrance to the Palestinian town of Deir Steya, and it is from a road. It is separating the town from an Israeli road, which settlers use, and which Palestinians are you know, restricted from using those roads. And so it's a way of preventing the Palestinians from using the road. Demolitions. So demolitions. This is a demolition within the Jerusalem municipality some years ago in Ras Al Amud. This is happening today in the West Bank. So just in the spring of last year, there were 3 refugee camps in the West Bank that were forcibly evacuated, and they were evacuated by, you know, these refugee camps started out, you know, as UNRWA camps back in 1948, and people had just tents, but over the decades, people have built, you know, concrete and brick houses. And because there's no space, there's so limited space, the houses are built one next to each other, and so there's no space for a road inside the camp. So the only way that the Israeli military can access the camp and effectively subdue the people is to demolish a row of houses. So this is about, you know, the space between this side and the other side of the path is maybe 3 or 4 houses, and so those 3 or 4 houses were you know, rows of houses were just bulldozed in total in order to provide access for the armored vehicles to come in. And this is the Tulkarm refugee camp. The other one was the Nur Shams. These are both in the city of Tulkarm. And then they, after the demolition and the evacuation, snipers, Israeli snipers, are posted in these camps to shoot at anyone who tries to return to their homes. So this is the situation. 30,000 people were displaced by this operation. These were some of the facilities just outside at the border of the camp that would provide social services and education for and medical attention for the residents of the camp. However, when the camps were evacuated, were forcibly evacuated, the UNRWA, I mean, there are multiple things going on here because Israel also, effectively shut down UNRWA, so it's very, very difficult for UNRWA to continue its operations even in the West Bank. The U.S. cut the funding to UNRWA, so UNRWA doesn't have a lot of funding that it used to have, so it stopped providing a lot of the services and the food subsidies that it used to provide. And so these people who are former residents of the two camps in Tulkarm, came out for a protest demanding that UNRWA, resume, providing refugee services. And these people have really been suffering. These are, another former resident, and I was fascinated to discover that there's a fairly large, black Palestinian population in the city of Tulkarm, and they were describing to us, what life is like after being forcibly removed from their homes in the camps. I just want to say that the one of the manifestations of apartheid is not just the division between Palestinians and Israelis, that kind of apartheid, but a hyper-segmentation of the Palestinian territories into so many different zones, and there actually are more that I haven't put on this list, but it just gives you the indication of how carved up the landscape is into so many different zones, and that makes it even more difficult for Palestinians to get around because they have to navigate, crossing from one zone into another, and the boundaries between zones are often places where there are checkpoints. Another thing that is of interest, a change from 18 years ago, is that this is the sign that says that Israelis are forbidden to go into Area A. Now, the reality is, the de facto reality is that Israelis can go anywhere, and no troop, no soldier will refuse them. And the PA will not refuse them. The converse, which is the really critical one, that in other words, that Palestinians are not allowed to go into Israel without a permit, or are not allowed to go into the settlements, without permission, is not posted, and that of course is deliberate. But one of the changes that has occurred between this, the signage in 2007 and today, is that it has the additional statement that entering Area A is dangerous. Okay, it's dangerous, and this is sort of like the notion that Palestinians are animals, and so don't go there because they're dangerous. They're a bunch of animals. It's another form of just degrading the Israeli view of Palestinians. Another interesting thing is there's an area, a very small area called Kafr Aqab, that is an enclave that is technically part of the Jerusalem municipality, but it is also theoretically under Palestinian Authority control. And so because of that, because it has a dual jurisdiction, neither one really assumes responsibility for it, and so there is a real problem of providing public services in Kafr Aqab. But that means that the land prices are lower. It's cheaper to buy land and build a house or own a house in Kafr Aqab than it is in either Jerusalem or in Ramallah. And so the result is that this is built up, way up. So this is a little enclave of high rise in just along the Green Line. Another thing that is an anomaly, and it's illustrative of what's going on, is Rawabi. So Rawabi is this little, very, very tightly delimited city. It is the only new Area A created since Oslo. And the reason that a new Area A, which means it's under Palestinian Authority control, why was it created? Because it was rich Palestinians and wealthy Israelis bribing the governments of both sides, both the PA as well as the Israeli government, to allow this development to happen. And it shows the corruption of both the Israeli government as well as the PA that would enable this to move forward. And the developers, the billionaires on both sides who developed this, and it's still about 50% vacant. Another thing that I found very interesting is that if you go into the bazaars in the West Bank, you find shops that are selling things that you would think would not be able to get into the West Bank, since anything that goes in and out is under Israeli control, including across the Jordan border. And yet these tables, for example, are from Syria, and those carpets are from Iran. So products from two countries that Israel formally, well, Israel, there still is no diplomatic relation between Israel and Syria, but in the past, when Hafiz al-Assad was there, there was a state of war, right, between the two countries. I think I'm running out of time. Is that what the signal is? And let me just go quickly. So this is what an Israeli settlement today, a large settlement, looks like. It's not what you think of. Some of these are real cities, and Morin Elite is just a little bit northwest of Jerusalem, and it is the largest settlement outside of the occupied East Jerusalem itself. Universities, some of the settlements, such as Ariel. This is Ariel, have full-scale infrastructure. This is the fourth largest settlement, and this particular medical school that is under construction was fully funded by Miriam and Sheldon Adelson, some very close friends of Donald Trump, and huge, Zionist funders. Okay, so this is just the E1 and the settlements like Ma'ale Adumim that are dividing the West Bank all the way out to Jericho. This is what E1 was some years ago, and now they're going to fill this with housing, settler housing. This just shows how if you take a view through the West Bank, you see alternating areas of Israeli areas, Palestinian areas, Qalqilia, Israeli settlement of Tsufin, and then the Palestinian city of Jayus. On the positive side, Venezuela, despite its the sanctions that had crushed its economy a few years ago, when it reached a low point during the pandemic, Venezuela, initiated this project to build an eye hospital in Palestine, in the city of Turmasaya, in the West Bank. And this is called the Hugo Chavez Eye Hospital, and it just opened when I got there. And once again, to re-emphasize how small the West Bank and sort of the neck of Israel are. I'm taking this photo from Belain, which is in the West Bank, and looking over the Israeli settlement of Modi'in, and I photographed the sunset, and you see the cranes there, the port cranes. So those cranes are in the port of Ashdod. So this shows you how small the distances are, and why it is essential that we look upon this the way that Jewish Voice for Peace has phrased it, that no matter what happens, there are two people there and they share one future. Thank you.
Okay, could you remove this? Okay, thank you, Sharat. Okay, very informative. So we will now have a couple minutes of announcement. And our request is to everybody here is go to our website, ICSSmarks.org, where you will see upcoming programs. For next week, potential one is Dustin Guastella, who serves as the Director of Operations for Teamsters Local 623 in Philadelphia. And but details of his talk would be on immigration and the working class. So I think it would be a very interesting topic, but description of it will be on our website shortly. Also, a little bit about how we're going to conduct this question answers. Every person who wants to ask a question or make a comment gets 2 minutes, and you can raise your hands as two people have already done. And I won't necessarily go sequentially, but I will try and get every question in so Sharat can address them. If you're making comments, be very brief. Question also brief, and stick to one question. And please respect others. As it's a comradely forum, so keep that in mind. And I think that's it. Oh, by the way, yeah, we also would like you to contribute to ICSS, which you can do that by going to our website, and there you'll find instructions. You can do it with the coffee, I think. I forget it's called Buy Me a Coffee, and other ways, okay? And so with that done, I'm going to go into a question session. So first person is Sharon Rose. Sharon, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lin. I thought I knew a lot, but you certainly shared very recent and very, very important information about what's going on there. My question has to do with demographics. So can you talk a little bit about the population numbers in this very small area? And by the way, your last slide was absolutely stunning, because I've been there, but I didn't realize you could see Ashdod from the West Bank. And my understanding is that a lot of what we call middle class people with some resources fled the West Bank when it was taken over by Israel in 1967, and since then many more have fled to diaspora, either in Jordan, Syria, or in the United States and other Western countries. So can you talk about the relative population numbers there now? And we know there are 750,000 settlers.
Yes, so the population of the West Bank right now is there isn't a census, but is probably around 3.5 million, somewhere around there. There is an exodus, which has gone actually primarily not. I mean, in recent years, yeah. I mean, yes, in '67 there were a lot of people who left the West Bank. Some of them went to Gaza, some of them went to surrounding countries. Many of them went to Europe and the U.S. and also Latin America, right? So the largest Palestinian diasporic population in the Western Hemisphere is in Chile. And so that migration is continuing, and it probably on a percentage basis affecting more the Christians. So and the reasons for that are multifold. I mean, for one thing, as a percentage of the total number of Christians, more of them have relatives in Europe and the U.S., Canada, than the Muslims in general, and so that is a pull for the migration. And so, for example, if you take Bethlehem, which used to be a majority Christian city, it's about 200,000 people, but now it's about 90% Muslim, even in Bethlehem. There are suburbs like Beit Sahur, which are still Christian, but yes, so there is this out migration.
Okay, thank you. The next is Sheila Hamanaka. Sheila, please go ahead.
You're muted.
You're muted, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. And I apologize that I was late, so I may have missed something. But the term settler, it has a history, and it sort of connotes people that are like moving into the wilderness. The sort of mythology of the United States, right? Wild country, etc. And so how far are the farthest settlements from like Tel Aviv, and how much are they paying for these houses that are being built, and how do they make a living?
Yeah,
the so-called settlers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And how much do these houses cost, if anything, for them?
Okay, thanks for the question. So the settlements are all over the West Bank, and there are settlements that are very close to the Jordan River. So they're in other words, they're on the east side of the West Bank. And not only that, but there are areas that are declared by the Israeli military to be settlement blocks, which is designed to assert full Israeli control over all of the land on the bordering the Jordan River. And so what that would eventually do is just like Gaza, it's like you can create this Israeli buffer zone a buffer zone between the West Bank, the Palestinian West Bank, certainly the Area A's, and Jordan, which means that Israel would assert even more control over anything that goes in and out of of the Palestinian part of the West Bank. So that's one thing. They're everywhere, and then there's a road network. There's a where there are Palestinian roads, and then there are Israeli only roads. And what those Israeli only roads are is that Palestinians can travel on them, but the driver has to have an Israeli driver's license, which means they have to live in Israel, and they have to have Israeli license plates. Okay, so what was the other part of your question?
It was how much these houses cost the settlers.
Right. So there are both governmental as well as non-governmental, Zionist institutions that subsidize the settlements. And so what that means is that it is, I'm just throwing out a sort of a round, a rough number, that it will cost typically like 20% less, 20 to 25% less to buy housing, or whether it is to buy or to rent, in a settlement than it would cost in Petah Tikva, which is in Israel proper. And so for that reason, actually the majority of those 700,000 settlers in the West Bank are what we would call economic settlers, in the sense that they are attracted to go to those settlements because it's cheaper to live there. It's cheaper to buy housing or rent housing in those settlements. And then a smaller percentage are
Когда его генералы возражали против различных аспектов.
Are ideological settlers, who are there because they believe that Judea and Samaria are rightfully land of the Jews, and they're out there to claim it. So this is, for example, the hilltop youth.
Okay, thank you. So next is Richard Wright. Oh, I'm sorry, Kathleen Densmore, and then Richard Wright after that.
Hey, thank you, Sharat, for presenting today, and I really appreciate the slides, in particular those of the settlements. Let's see, my question is, can we assume that you think the root problem in Palestine is Zionism? And if so, how do you think we can beat it?
Well, there's multiple aspects to this. So first of all, the Zionist movement in Israel, which is at least as far as the impact on the West Bank is concerned, is really this settler movement that has become increasingly militant, and also it is some of the members of the Israeli government, in particular in the cabinet, are themselves settlers. So both Ben-Gvir and Smotrich are like settlers, and Ben-Gvir actually lives in a settlement, and so that is a problem within Israeli society. That Israeli society is shifting over the years progressively more and more to the right, but it is also being enabled by the Zionists in this country, because this is the world's sole superpower. The United States, provides almost $3.8 billion a year of military aid to Israel, and is the by far the primary backer. The crucial pillar behind Israel's project is the United States, and so we have to overcome Zionism here in the U.S. because that is the critical support, and because it's a blind, unconditional support. It means that the settlers can do whatever they want. I mean, the one thing that also comes out of this national security strategy is that we will, except for Iran, the U.S. will leave it to the countries of the Middle East to decide how they do things, and that certainly applies to Israel.
Okay. So next one is Richard Wright. Richard, please go ahead.
Yep, thank you very much. I have a quick question about about the Gaza peace program, or whatever it's called. And I was wondering if maybe you could speculate as to why the Russians are ponying up $1 billion to join the club, and what their relations are. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I don't have details on the motivations. I mean, the Russians, I think that they want to have a foot in the door, because if they know that the U.S. as the primary superpower and as the only country that has any leverage on Israel, that they have to work with the U.S. In any kind of determination of the future for Israel-Palestine, and so I think that is the reason that they have decided to work with this. That they abstained in the Security Council on this peace deal, and so they're going along with it so that they have a say. I think that is their main motivation. As to the funding, I mean, that's one. I think that providing some of the funding, making a contribution to the funding, gives them leverage. If you look at the Board of Peace, the document, it's very clear that it's a very hierarchical structure that's being created. It's a very convoluted and hierarchical structure, and so participating and funding gives the Russians leverage.
Okay, so next one is Janet Coburn. Janet, please go ahead.
Okay, yes. Sorry. Thank you, Sharat, for your presentation, and much appreciation for your work. The slides are beautiful. It would be great if you would share a link to them with us, or somehow share them with us. I have 3 comments, sorry, and a question. I want to remind everyone that the genocide in Gaza is still going on, but has been erased from awareness in the West. Much of Trump's 20-point plan is shamefully ratified by the UN Security Council Resolution 2803, violates international law. I won't go into detail here, but Francesca Albanese is calling for the dismantlement of the Board of Peace. And speaking of olive trees, according to Dr. Ghassan Abusita, 66% of the Israelis who claim to be originally from Palestine are allergic to olive tree pollen. Now to my question. If we talk about Palestinian governance,
of the various occupied Palestinian territories, including elections of officials and bodies, and also how the PA collaborates with Israel, for example, how it enforces Israel's occupation of the West Bank. Thank you.
Yeah, so the PA has, you know, there has played an important role, you know, particularly in the cities of the West Bank, in suppressing protests, in you know, preventing Palestinians from protesting the occupation or the demolition of the refugee camps. So there's absolutely no doubt that the PA is in many respects, you know, serving as an arm of the Zionist project in the West Bank. I mean, even though their rhetoric may be different. I'm sorry.
The governance and elections of the
well, there have not been. I mean, there haven't been any elections since 2006 in the West Bank, and at the 2006 elections, I want to remind people that even in the West Bank, Hamas was won the elections in January 2006, and that Palestinian National Council never could be seated because Israel arrested many of the people who were elected. So they effectively, you know, subverted that election. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mehmet Berem, next, please. Mehmet, please unmute.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sharat, it was very informative and beautiful slides. Thank you. Couple of questions. First, how were you able to get into Israel or Palestine? Do you need a special visa, and do they give it to you? And the second thing is maybe following up on Janet's point is that there is all we hear about is Hamas and the PA. Now, there were other groups that Palestinians had, PFLP, DFLP, those. What are the views of Palestinians, if you had a chance to talk to them, about, you know, being squeezed into only two I don't know, opposition factions, one serving Israel, other one serving Islam. Isn't there anything else that is out there for them? And for the last point, did you have a chance to talk to Israelis, settlers at all? I mean, this is such a blatant, you know, going against the international law, or the settlements are. I wonder if they try to justify it, or just do they evoke the biblical terms to say, this is mine? Just wondering what can they come up with to justify their theft. Thank you.
Well, let me take the last one first. So a lot of the, as I said, there are ideological settlers who base their actions on you know, a religious view that this is the promised land. It was promised to the Jews, and Jews have historically occupied this because, you know, Judaism was there before Islam, before Christianity, right? So it's the oldest religion. And then there are the, as I said before, the economic settlers who are there because, well, they said, well, I can live here, and it's cheaper, and you know, they don't think too much about an ideological basis. They say, you know, I just want my right to live, and I'm not sure if that answers that question.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
The others were the other organizations, Palestinian organizations such as PFLP or DFLP. What do the Palestinians think about those instead of just having PA and Hamas on two extreme sides?
No, right. So they are they recognize both the political bankruptcy and the corruption of the PA. They recognize that that Hamas, you know, is a liability to the extent that it relies on an Islamic ideology, and that it is based purely on much more so on an armed struggle that may be difficult to navigate in the present circumstances, where Israel has the vast upper hand militarily, and so it's not something that can be effectively countered militarily. But at the same time, it's just like the left in the United States. The left is weaker, it's divided, it's fragmented, and even though they have a vision, they're also confronting the same reality that both a two-state solution is receding as the settlements continue to be built, as the West Bank continues to be more and more carved up. Even the one-state solution is receding because the right wing is becoming stronger and stronger in Israel, and less tolerant of Palestinians under their rule, and so it's a very sad reality. And I believe that the only way that that's going to change is when the world's sole superpower, stops blindly backing this Zionist project. Was there another question there?
Just the first one. Does Israel put like a filter to prevent people, even from the United States, coming in? Do they allow anybody to get in there?
Well, so there is very I would say fairly rigorous screening. I mean, it's for the most part, it's when you go to Israel, you apply for an e-visa, and it's easy to get. It's done electronically online, and most people are approved. I mean, I was approved within minutes, so the system automatically looks into their database, and if there's nothing to flag a person, then we just get the e-visa. The screening comes when we come to the border crossing, like the Allenby Bridge, or else when we board that flight into the Ben Gurion International Airport. And so boarding the flight, so wherever you're boarding that flight from, the airline will the airline, together with I don't know who actually contracts, whether it's the Israeli government or the airline, but they have to meet certain requirements, and they have security people who ask you a battery of questions. And I chose to do it the difficult way, which was I actually flew in from Europe via El Al, which is the most difficult. And but what happened was that because I was coming in on El Al, when I reached Israeli immigration, they just let me right through. They didn't even question me because they knew the El Al screening was the most secure. They trusted it. But the screening that I received, which was in Italy, was I was strip searched, and and the other thing that was remarkable was that I had a carry-on bag, which was just a backpack, and they forced me to check my carry-on. The only thing that I was allowed to carry on board the aircraft, and this is not usual practice, the only thing that I was allowed to carry onto the aircraft was my phone, and I was not allowed to carry any backpack. And so those were checked, and so because I was after the questioning basically revolved around who are you going with, who are you going to see there, and because I said I'm going on my own, they said, well, there's something that isn't right here. And besides, this is not the. I said, well, I'm going to see the Holy Land, see the holy sites, and they said, but there's a war going on. This is what the officer said, and I said, well, the only answer I could give them was, well, but the weather is great. This is the time. So they said, you're a high risk, and I had all that questioning. There was another question at the very beginning about that is related. It says, are there any protections by the Israelis for foreign activists like yourself? And so the answer there is that while I was there were activists who there were 32 of them who were arrested from a town very nearby where I was, and they were deported. So there is no protection. The U.S. government will not unless it's a death. The U.S. government will likely not take any kind of action against the Israelis for what they do. They basically give them a free hand. Trump has stated this in no uncertain terms.
Okay, we have three more people, so multiple questions were permitted today because there are not that many hands raised. Normally we only have one question per person. Bonnie Weiss is next. Bonnie, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. That was a great presentation. My question is related to the increasing numbers of Israeli Jews, which is sort of a redundant phrase, who've been emigrating, leaving Israel. I'm guessing they're mostly, first of all, they have to be wealthy. They have to have money to be able to do that. But I'm guessing, in addition, most of them are Americans who had gone to Israel with the romantic phony notions about Zionism and Israel and all that. And are now disgusted not because of what Israel is doing and has been doing for the last 70 years to Palestine, but because they don't like Netanyahu or the Israeli government, the right-wing governments, and that this number of emigres has been increasing until last year it was like 70,000, according to one report I saw, which was an increase over the previous year. So my question is, are they mostly these American Jews who had settled there and are now, what's the word? Sorry for what they did for moving there and want to come home? Or are they Europeans moving to elsewhere in Europe or other countries? And where are they going, most of them? Thank you, Doctor.
Well, I don't have the statistics on numbers of people who are leaving and what their composition is. First of all, to say Israeli Jew is not redundant because there are Israeli Arabs.
Oh,
There
right. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, I misspoke.
Israeli Druze, Muslims, and others.
Yeah, but what is your sense of this emigrating population?
Well, first of all, the Israelis who have come to the United States in let's say the last 2.5 years are mostly dual citizens.
Right.
So they are U.S. citizens and Israeli
R
citizens, and of course
right. I forgot to mention that part.
they have
Yes.
served in the IDF, um, and therefore they have family here. They have some of them have houses here, and for some of them it's just temporarily they want to get out because there was a war going on. I mean, to them, there was only at the beginning when there were rockets falling occasionally on Israel, and so now I don't know what the situation is, but some of them probably will be going back. There are some who are particularly East European people of East European origin, Jews from Israel who have come to the U.S. Again, I don't know the numbers, but so there is a diversity of people who are coming, and I expect that immigration from Israel will probably level off now that the security situation within Israel proper has stabilized.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next one is Jim. So far, that is the last hand. Okay, Janet wants to come back, but Jim, go ahead, please.
So yes, thank you. My question is, well, I see these videos all the time of the horrendous destruction of the Palestinian property and farms, and I'm just sort of wondering why there isn't some kind of a United Nations pushback against the Israelis are supposed to be policing, and they're not, and I'm just appalled by that. My question though is that when the World Economic Forum was meeting, I saw something on X that indicated that Putin had met with the president of the Palestinian Authority. I just saw only one reference. I wasn't sure if it was fake news or not. And also, he was supposed to have said that he will only participate in the peace board if Palestinians have full rights. Full rights was the term used in the reference. I'm wondering if you know anything about that. Is that exaggerated? Is he holding to that? Can it possibly force the peace board to be more accommodating to the Palestinians, then obviously Trump just wants to turn into a real estate deal for his billionaire buddies. That's my question. Thank you.
Well, I think it's talk at this point. I mean, like just like every like so many European countries have said that that there's an echo. You know, the genocide has to stop, and there's a lot of talk about how Israel has violated international law, but it remains talk, and I think the Russians are just saying that just to be on the record that Palestinians have rights. I don't think that, you know, because there's one Russian on the executive board, and I think there's maybe one on the advisory board, and I think also let me see, the high representative, also the high representative for Gaza is a Russian. So, but again, that's not but anything is subject to the decisions of the executive board, right? As well as the chairman. So really, the ultimate control is really in the hands of Trump as the chairman. But I can't think again that the Russians are playing to hopefully, you know, exercise some leverage, but they don't have a veto.
Okay. We have two other hands raised. So Judith Osterman and then Janet Coburn. And those two will be the final questions because we're approaching the time. So Judith, please go ahead. Judith?
You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Still muted, Judith. Okay, Janet, maybe you go ahead first, and then we'll go to Judith later.
Okay, thank you. So yesterday was a global action day for the Red Ribbons campaign, demanding freedom of all Palestinian hostages. There are something like 9,000 Palestinian prisoners, and Israel is close to approving the execution of Palestinian prisoners, no matter what they're being held for. Can you talk about that?
Well, this is the, you know, the asymmetry in the reporting on this, that there's been so much talk, so much focus on the Israeli hostages, as they're called, and no, you know, reciprocal recognition of the Palestinian prisoners, who, as you say, number at least 9,000, and most of those, let's be realistic, are political prisoners, because they are there not because they've committed some kind of you know, crime like murder or theft. They are there because they have opposed the occupation, they have written something, they have participated in a protest, or done something online that pardon?
Thrown a rock.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. So they've done something to indicate their opposition to the occupation, and the media doesn't cover it. Even the coverage by Al Jazeera would name the Israelis, the Israeli hostages who were returned to Israel, but we never saw the names of the Palestinian prisoners who were released by Israel whenever that happened. So there has been a consistent and systematic asymmetry in the coverage, and I would fault every news media organization for that.
Okay. Judith Osterman.
Yes, am I unmuted? Am I still unmuted?
No, we can hear you.
You're fine. We can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. I had a lot of trouble unmuting. Okay. All right. Thank you for your presentation. And what I'd like to ask, well, first of all, if you know, is it true that Hamas has decided to disarm? And the second question is that what you spoke of billionaires, I believe you said. It was either millionaires or billionaires that live in the West Bank. And so who are these rich Palestinians? How do they make their money? Are they active in helping the resistance? And yeah, okay, I guess that's all. All right, thank you.
Well, I don't know for sure that they are billionaires, but they are, hundreds of millions. So they're the super rich of the West Bank. They could only have become so wealthy by collaborating with the corruption of the PA, and so they have no interest in spending their money for the resistance. They are fully in league with the PA and to some extent with the Israeli occupation. Otherwise, they wouldn't become so.
Okay. Okay, and what about Hamas? Did they say they were going to disarm?
So Hamas, Hamas is like any organization or country that is under pressure from the U.S. is in a tough spot. I mean, they need the ceasefire. They need a peace process. They know they can't win militarily against Israel, but they obviously they don't believe that they can. It would be suicidal to fully disarm, and so they're they're going to negotiate. They're going to negotiate and because Trump is about making a deal, not about some kind of a settlement that is based upon a principle. They think they can still, they hope they can still make some kind of a deal with Trump. And anyway, you see that the charter of the Board of Peace is somewhat different. In small ways, it's somewhat different from what Netanyahu has declared. And so there seems to be some. I think that there is some wiggle room.
Okay.
The other thing I want to point out is this, and this has to do with the whole notion of countries like Canada, like Britain, recognizing the Palestinian state. And a lot of people dismiss this and say that it's just talk, and it's really irrelevant. But recognizing a Palestinian state means that when you have a negotiation that involves two parties, both of which are states, that there's some pretense of symmetry here, and when you have a conflict that is being negotiated between a state such as the State of Israel and an organization like Hamas, that the attitude is that this is an asymmetric negotiation, not just because of an asymmetry of power, but an asymmetry of status, and and so it's, if it were a country, if Palestine were a country, we could, we could, I mean, we can do it anyway, but we can more easily make the appeal to the international community that Palestine has a right to defend itself. And in order for Palestine to defend itself, and it's not just against Israel, it could be defend itself against Jordan or Syria, right? And so no sovereign country can be forced to be 100% disarmed. So that's why I believe that even though Palestinian statehood has its limitations in the current context, I still believe in a way it's a step forward.
Okay, we don't have any more hands raised, but I do want to ask you a question. First of all, thank you, Sharat, for a very informative presentation. You're courageous. I know you for a long time. You're a very courageous person and very meticulous in your work. So we really appreciate your work. One question I have is, did you see any evidence of Arab countries' assistance, and did any conversation come up with that? Because it's a very demoralizing situation for ordinary people in West Bank. Do you have any comments about that or any final thoughts you want to present? Thank you.
Well, so the assistance that comes from the Arab countries is primarily words. It is, I mean, there's funding. So the Gulf countries do provide some funding for the PA. They provide funding for UNRWA. So there is that, but it's not like you see evidence of it. You don't see, as you're driving around, you don't see billboards that say, this and this was provided courtesy of the United Arab Emirates. But we know it's there, that the West Bank, which is only partially economically viable, is living off of subsidies from the European Union and from the Gulf states.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks everybody who participated and attended our session today. We'll see you next Sunday on the working class and immigration laws. And Sharat, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.